Did you just commit a crime? Let's take a look at this Moto Stars video. We do have some crashes. There's some sides to sides, the left shoulder, right shoulder. Make sure you get your full gear. Canada Rye. Open lane pattern. Okay, we're gonna switch lanes, right? Because that lane is moving quicker, right? Middle lane is moving faster than that lane. Yeah, so we have some open lane patterns. Getting a little confused. That person was like, what? Huh? I don't get it. So what we have here is our lane is moving quicker than this lane. But this lane is moving quicker than our lane. So what I was saying is it's an open lane pattern when it comes to us wanting to switch lanes because, hey, our lane is going slow. But the same thing is that this person wants to switch into our lane. So the two left lanes basically are moving faster than the far right lane. So these are things that you got to be paying attention to. And you guys see it already. That's one of the big things. You see it already. But we need to know what could happen after the fact. There's behaviors involved when it comes to these actions. And a lot of the behaviors are we want to get into the faster lane. We don't like being the slow one. So we might switch lanes to the left. And if we switch lanes to the left, we need to do our head check. We need to check our mirrors, make sure there's nobody behind on to the left. So tip number one, stop fighting for lanes, okay? And I'm going to forget the tips, guys. You need to let me know. Oh, another open lane pattern. Great job with the swerve. Great job with the swerve. Shogun Invader. Okay, let's take a look at that one more time. All right, right here. We have that open lane pattern. Our lane is wide open. This truck decides just to go for it. We're in a decent position and we can see really far. You notice how we can see super far? So this is a great position for safety. We can see far. Bad space cushions to here, but we have an escape to the left. That's perfectly fine. I'm good with that. So as soon as you see this person come out, not enough time to stop, so we got to swerve. And we got to swerve back because we're going to run into the back of this Ford, back into our position. So doing pretty good. Handled it. Tip number two, make sure you practice your swerving so you don't crash. All right? Again, tip number two was to practice your swerves.
In a hurry and being totally impatient, the driver decided to overtake this rider in a safe manner and test his patience for absolutely no reason.
Okay, test patience. That's a great... You know, sometimes it's testing the physical, but you got to test some of the mental. Okay. Oh, left shoulder. High mechanism. How did that happen, Jess? Oh, target fixation at its best, or at its finest. All right. So it looks like we got straight up on the sidewalk, or I'm sorry, on the curb and hit the curb. I don't know if we landed a wheelie. I don't watch Jess's YouTube channel, but did we land a wheelie, got too close, hit the curb? Whatever it was, maybe we're looking behind ourselves. Maybe we're looking at the wrong thing. He said target fixation, so let's go with that. And then we hit the curb. So right there, though, thankfully he has a Cardo Pack-Talk Edge. That's what we use for Bluetooth systems. Link in the description. We fell down, so he doesn't have full gear. It doesn't look like it's an armored jacket. So we got the left elbow, left shoulder, and then the head impact, okay? So that right there is why you wear a full face helmet, because you don't want to rip your face off. But make sure you're wearing full gear, because we could have major issues. You could break your left clavicle on that one, but could have a concussion. So tip number three, wear full gear and don't target fixate. That's a little bonus tip. It's a little bonus tip. So Grom Squatch, here we go. Prius, watch out for those Priuses, dude. Okay, position. Okay, moving over to a different position. That person switched over. You're going to switch over here because that person was stopping. Okay. Weaving in and out of traffic, do what you need to do. Let's go with the flow. Okay, happens. You did great. Great red stage. Ooh, nighttime riding. We have an issue with that. So Unit 4, Lesson 5, I believe, is the nighttime riding of the basic Smart Rider course. It's $120 a year. We talk about this, guys. Okay, you're going to outrun your headlights. Okay, the headlights only go so far. You're not going to, if you go super fast, you basically reduce your total stopping distance because you can't see what's coming up. Okay, so because you have perception, reaction, your perception reaction is reduced. We're coming up to here, we have the side of the vehicle here. So we should have already been in orange stage because it's nighttime. Side of the vehicle right here, you can tell because of the headlights. You notice it's a little bit harder to see out at night. Exactly. And so this is one of those issues where as soon as we see that, we need to go in red stage and we need to swerve. We probably need to accelerate and swerve, or we need to do really good progressive braking, just so that we can slow down in time so that the person can actually get out of the way. But that's what we're doing, and so it's not going to be enough total stopping distance. So we're going to be slowing down. We might have to change it up to a swerve. Okay, we have to change it up. We have to do something different because stopping isn't going to be the option all the time. So at this point, let's go ahead and get it back before the blur, is that we have to switch it up. We have to try to swerve. We have to do something. The gap is opening behind him. Go for that spot. That might be what you need to do. Overall, it's probably going to be a crappy situation. So tip number, what number are we on? Tip number 34? Make sure you wear full gear. I think we already said that one. So if you noticed, as a smart rider, you acquire and use personal protective equipment. We're good.
Fire department, check you out, all right?
Okay.
What happened?
Hit the back of a car, and I feel like I may have flipped over and landed on my back, maybe.
Okay. Did you lose consciousness at all?
Nope.
Okay, Jake, what's your birth date?
040599.
040599?
Yeah.
I guess I'll explain some of this.
Jacob?
Gardner.
Gardner.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's go ahead and explain some of that. I know we're going to take a little bit longer on this video, but I want to explain some of the EMS stuff that comes up, because that's definitely something that, as a firefighter EMT for 11 years, I can explain a little bit on why they're asking these questions. Like, what are they doing? I've had some people comment before saying, like, you know, firefighters are slow or they're not working quick enough, it's an emergency, and I want to explain some of those things.
How's it going?
Hey, not too bad. Been bad.
So right there, I'm telling you, there's so much that goes into every single word. There's not a lot of wasted movements when it comes to firefighting, especially EMT type stuff, unless you have poor EMTs. Anyways, asking how's it going. The moment Jacob said something, this is probably the paramedic. It looks like he had a drug box going with him. Open airway. He's breathing. He's conscious. All right. Basic assessment. Here we go.
Yeah. What's your name?
Jacob.
What's your name? He says Jacob. Now, there's no way to verify it until you actually get his license. So I could be like, hey, my name is Brian, and then they can go with it. But the fact that he's able to say his first name, that's good.
Yep, my name's Ryan.
So introducing himself, name's Ryan, obviously a firefighter, but I always like to say, hey, I'm a firefighter with the Yuma Fire Department or Northwest Fire District, just to give him a little bit more. And that's something you want to do when you're coming up on somebody and you're just doing some bystander assistance. Hey, my name is Daniel. I was an EMT firefighter for 11 plus years. Can I offer some assistance? Can I help you out? And that's getting consent. So it's basically saying, hey, this is who I am. And then it's almost implied consent at this point.
Fire department, check you out, all right?
Okay.
Oh, there it is. I didn't see that part. I'm the fire department and check you out. He said, okay, there's consent.
What happened?
So he's going to ask what happened. And this is what he's going to do with this, is that he's going to see if Jacob was conscious and aware during the whole thing. Because if all of a sudden he's like, I don't remember, that means he went unconscious. And that means there's definitely a traumatic brain injury. We got to be a little bit more careful with that. Just going to write it in his little note saying, hey, he was unconscious.
Hit the back of a car, and I feel like I may have flipped over and landed on my back, maybe.
Okay. Did you lose consciousness at all?
Nope.
Okay, Jake, what's your birth date?
So he wants to get his birth date, so we're going to get a little bit more, see if he's still all there. And then also there's some times where, you know, somebody was underage and then we have to start calling for parents or legal guardians. But at that point, it's implied consent because they're underage. They can't sign off.
040599.
040599?
99. I'm 87. Jeez.
Yeah.
What's your last name, Jacob?
Gardner.
Gardner.
Yeah.
All right.
I would have blurred some of that stuff out. But anyways, what he was doing was we got airway. We know the airway's working. We know that he never went unconscious, or at least he assumes that he never did. So that's going to be hopefully like a limited type of traumatic brain injury. You know, if you go unconscious and concussion, there's different levels. I think level 1 through 4. Level 4 is like your brain's on the floor. Level 1 is just like a concussion. Circulatory system's working. It means he's able to talk. He's able to think. He knows his name. He knows his date of birth. He knows what was he knows what happened. So like, there's just so much information that this paramedic was able to gather before even starting work. Now, if there's an obvious deformity or if he sees any blood flow and there's like these obvious things, like, hey, I'm going to ask you questions while I'm putting the tourniquet on, while I'm stopping the bleed, while I'm doing all these different things. So this is good.
Gardner.
Was they trying to hit me? I don't know. No, side of the vehicle. Just wasn't all there, wasn't thinking. You see that ahead of time. Did a great job. Using a quad lock, very nice. Hey, welcome, Per. Thank you for all the donated memberships and super chats. Welcome to the club here. Okay. Now, why do you think that happened? We've seen a few stunts before and how they end like that. We have two people here. We've seen this before where somebody lands their wheelie a little bit hard and then they go up and over the handlebars. Why is there two crashes? Possible impact with each other. Possible impact with each other. So somebody either hit this person in the back and they went up and over, or landed hard and then went up and over. Either way, look at the lack of gear. Okay, so we got road rash, we got arms damaged, legs. The only thing that's really on them is a helmet. So it's our job to remain calm, ensure our own safety first. Do we have another view? So this is somebody from the back. So this is why I like riding in the back of groups, because now I come up on the scene versus have to turn around. So pull over. So remain calm, ensure your own safety. Ensuring your own safety is pulling over, making sure nobody. So that right there is not safe. Right on the side, on the shoulder. Grab your rescue pack. And what we're gonna have is a lot of capillary and probably venous bleeding because of the road rash. But if there's any punctures, which can happen. Okay, so like like brake levers or any type of levers or any type of hot or sharp metal parts from the motorcycle, slicing flesh, you could have external bleeding. And that right there is where we stop major bleeds. So direct pressure, apply a tourniquet, pack the wound if we have to. And if they are acting disoriented, they're vomiting, if they're like, I can't feel my legs, obviously we have major issues. And there's some of the treatment. The toy box. All right, sharing a lane. Don't do that. Let them be in front. Let the idiots be in front. Good job moving off. Did great 360 situation awareness. I mean, how hard is it to dodge somebody coming from behind you trying to hit you? That's why I like having people in front, because it's easier to dodge people that are in front of you. Okay, you're escalating the whole time. Just let them go. Let the truck go. Okay, if I was talking to an audience of truck drivers or car drivers, I would say let the motorcyclists go.
That's right.
Did you just?
That's right.
Did you just commit a crime? Zerg, the lady almost took me out and took me and my motorcycle out. There we go. Side of the vehicle. Great swerve, Zerg. That was really good. So we have a side of the vehicle coming up right here. So I guess this will be tip number 4 or 5. Once again, make sure that we're swerving. I think I already said that. How many tips are we gonna have that are the same? So swerve and wearing gear. Looking out for sides of the vehicles. I guess that could be the tip. There you go. All right. So another side of the vehicle intersection. So tip number 5, orange stage going up into intersections. We're going over a crest of the hill right here. Okay, we have an intersection right there. So we see the person coming out in front. We need to plan our ride here. So position for safety, locate hazardous situations. This is definite orange stage right now. We assess any relevant threats. This is a relevant threat. We have that car driver right there. Okay, now we have to navigate that active threat. And how do we navigate that active threat? Well, all we have to do is apply good progressive braking in this situation. Okay, so tip number 4 or 3 or whatever was swerving, but now it's gonna be braking. So tip number 5 is braking. Swerve, brake, gear, all those different tips. All right. Sad music. Here we go. Toy fan 2. Not side of the vehicle. We have an open lane pattern. It was applying the brakes, allowed them in. Good job. Diadem diaries. All right. Always watch out for champs. Okay. Merging issue. We have an open lane pattern. Guy went all the way across. No signal, no safety checks. You can't see what their head was doing. Yeah, there's no signals, but I mean the pattern. Hey, we're getting swerved into right there. You see that? Look at the white car. Open lane pattern. They're coming into our lane. Watch out for that one. Almost saw it. Yeah, okay. So he saw it. 5 stars. Okay.
Oh, we got a bike down.
Oh, bike down. Rescue everybody. Rescue.
Right in the middle of the road, too.
All right, let's help each other out. Grab your trauma kit. You got a rescue pack on the store. Remain calm. Ensure your own safety. Don't get hit around this corner. Stop major bleeds. Okay, so have somebody on the other side of the corner slowing down traffic so you don't get ran over while you're in here. See, like that corner. Like, there you go. Now you can see around the corner. People are going to be flying down through there. All right. Edge of entropy. I'm running daily errands. Nothing spectacular. Okay, we're going to turn left here in the left turn. I'm sorry, the middle turn lane. Somebody's going to want to do the same thing, I bet, right? Oh, what are you doing? No, don't do that, dude. Black Chevy, don't do that. I can have patience. I can have patience. Let me practice my patience. Yep, somebody's going to try to come
Thanks
in.
for watching till the end.
Oh, you're welcome, Moto Stars. I appreciate you. Guys, make sure you sign up for the MTC Rider Academy. Make sure you swerve, wear gear, know how to progressively brake, and at the same time, understand the MTC awareness stages, which we talk about in the Basic Smart Rider course at the MTC Rider Academy. With that said, hope you guys ride safe, be safe, and I'll be seeing you guys later.